Alright, hello again guys. Excuse the fact that I'm on fire. We're going to be doing another Monumenta video today on the live channel. This is going to be just kind of a follow-up to the last video, just going over my thoughts about the game. Keep in mind, first of all, this is one man's thoughts. Second of all, I'm not the smartest human being. I'm not God. I don't really, know everything. So if you disagree with me on something, or if there's something I'm wrong about, let me know in the comments down below. Tell me what you think I'm incorrect about. I think the state of Monumenta, at least after doing the majority of the endgame content, except for extremely high-level Zenith runs, I think it's fine. I don't think it's as great as I initially anticipated it to be. I think the biggest problem, ironically enough, is that there's not enough true endgame content. Or at least not enough true endgame content that feels extremely rewarding. To me, it seems like players have this problem right now of accumulation. And what I mean by that is, players are able to make an obscene amount of HAR, of materials, of anything per hour, because we've gotten extremely strong. I don't think being strong necessarily is a problem, but it is when we have all of this money and not much interesting stuff to buy, especially with the market like operating under, giving out so many sets that you can rent, or you could just, buy this item at the cheapest possible price based on the market because of, Stonko and stuff like that. Obviously not their faults either. It's a matter of, supply and demand. We're in this situation where I'm like, I don't know, I haven't played that much R3. I've only done Hexfall a few times. I've only done like, SKR a few times. I've done Savage only a couple times. And I feel done. Like, I feel like I'm good. I got everything I would want. There are obviously a few things I'm missing. I need to get Loom. That's probably the biggest thing on my list. But, like, I have 250 HAR. I could just pick it up if I wanted to. Already bought Covenmore Rend. that thing's awesome. Bought quite a few of the Charm Epics for Jade. Haven't bought any for myself on Rogue because I haven't really found any that are super, I guess, important to me yet. Maybe I'm missing one for my playstyle because I like to play this stupid assassin playstyle. I like just doing this, but I don't know. I feel like the game has kind of... Okay, so back when I used to play, like, really in 2021, 2022, mostly 2021, and even 2020 to a degree, the grind was really about getting Delve Epics, Delve Epics, Delve Epics. You just got to get them all. And it was actually relatively hard to get them all because, doing 24-point delves at the time was pretty hard. You would do them with a team of 4 to 8. People would split, and you wouldn't have enough for an epic even remotely, right? Stonko existed at this time, but it was still relatively new. And the game was just kind of in a state where you had to grind out a lot to get all of the epics. And there was a reason to get all of the epics, mind you. Because a lot of them were either, very important or, like, fundamental to a certain class where you just needed to have it. Or it was, like, a super important utility item where you'd be an idiot not to get the item, right? That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Like, the majority of the epics, if you're not playing a certain class or you don't play all 8 of the classes like I don't, you can kind of pass up on, like, half of the epics in the game. At least in R3. I don't think that that's necessarily a problem, mind you. I think that, allowing people to feel done after a while isn't bad. I just think that right now, there doesn't seem to be enough pulling stuff out of the economy, and there is a lot pouring in every single day with such an active player base. I mean, we're dealing with like 70 to 140 average players, and it's not likely to get, any lesser for for Monument anytime soon, with Skyblock updating soon to 1.21. I wouldn't be that shocked at all if we saw a huge influx of new players to the game, because they'll just be able to log in for the first time. Now, once again, I don't think that any of this is necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. I'm just interested to see, like, where it takes the game in the long run. Because, like, I don't know. I've never considered Monumenta easy. And when I quit last time, or when I quit, like, a few years back at this point, I didn't consider it easy, or then at all. I think part of the reason why I left was because I felt like the game was moving in a direction where it was going to be not really the thing I would enjoy, where it was going to be too difficult. I feel like the pendulum's, swapped in the opposite direction, like, entirely now. And I don't mean this in, like, a death manner. As a matter of fact, I think death is one of the few things that's still great about Monumenta with the death systems that we have now. I just think the content itself is not challenging enough, and there's not enough to go for to really justify a long amount of playtime. At least for me personally. Once again, different for everybody. Maybe it's just a game that I've kind of outgrown, but I don't know. I got covered more in Rend. I did Hexfall a few times. Hexfall is easy. I'm going to be honest with you. It's easy. If you haven't tried it out, I highly recommend it. It is super scripted. You will get it done relatively easily as long as you have a good group, guiding you to get it done. It's really not that bad. Same thing goes for Savage SKT. I had a team help me out, figure out how to do it. We got in 3 or 4 runs at most. Probably less than that if we were playing a little bit better. I don't even have everything. So I guess it's kind of in this interesting dichotomy where the content doesn't feel super hard. I don't have an incentive to really, raise the stakes because I'm already getting paid out $1 million for everything. And at the same time, I don't really feel like half the epics I even need to go for in the first place. Like, even if they made the content harder, I don't know if that would solve the problem, because I still wouldn't care about half of the things that are, epics in this game. It would kind of just be whatever to me. It's just kind of whatever. Not a bad thing. It's just a very interesting development. I don't think I, years ago, would have ever considered Monumenta to get to the point where it would be considered easy. But I don't know what you do to really solve this problem, if you want to even consider it one, You could make the content harder, but if you don't bump up the loot, it's not going to be that interesting. You could try to reduce the loot gains, but that would only make the rich players currently, have a huge advantage over everybody else. I don't know what you do in that situation. It's just a very interesting problem that I never thought this game would have. I am very excited, though, to see, what comes next in terms of the story. I think that R3 is in a great spot. Hexfall, beautiful, amazing content. Really enjoyed it. I have no qualms with it at all. Ironically, I think it's too easy. I think it should be made a little bit harder in some ways, but maybe a little more accessible in terms of your class diversity. I think it's kind of silly you need to use a certain class if you want to succeed in Hexfall. I think all 8 classes should be able to excel theoretically. Obviously, not every single every single build is going to work in Hexfall. It's a raid environment, but I don't think you should be just using exactly 4 different builds and it's the same every time. For Savage SKT, frankly, bring it up to Hexfall level difficulty or like where it's supposed to be in the difficulty chain, and raise the quality of the loot significantly. You know, give us artifacts from that. Don't just give us the tier 1s. If you want to keep it at Savage level, have it scale with the content. In my view, I think one of the best ways to solve the problems here, give us okay, so you know how we have all the R1 delve epics in the form of the exalted rares or whatever? I would say make new delve epics for them in R3. A new tier of not a new tier, but a new version of the item in R3 that people would want to use, maybe that become a little more fundamental to the classes. Obviously not, perfect. And I think they've already done this to some degree, like Kingslayers in a lot of builds for rogues. And I could see use for a bunch of the other items, obviously. I don't know why I ran the Willows. That was a terrible example, but you understand what I mean, right? There's reason to pick some of these things up. I just think that, I don't know, I would want to see something higher end to go for. It feels like there's only 2 epics that are really, well, there are literally only 2 epics, I think, that are actually, items in the sense that I would consider them, which are covered more in Rend and Veil Ripper. I don't know if there's a third. Maybe there is a third. I might be stupid. The rest are just charms or other items that I don't really know about. Oh yeah, there's Chimera's Grace as well, which is fine as well. I don't know. Once again, just a situation where maybe I'm complaining because I've played out the content and that's fine. But I would love to see some changes go on in the future. I think the classes are generally in a good spot for the most part. Once again, I don't know that much about that, though, because I haven't had a need to swap off Rogue for anything other than Hexfall. Everything else has just been kind of whatever to me, I've done a few challenge dungeons. They're not that bad. Done all of the hunts. Not bad. Only thing I really haven't done yet, and probably would need to swap off Rogue for, is high-level Zenith content. And I will probably do that at some point, but I don't know. We're just in a state where game's pretty good. The story and lore and loot are fundamentally great. I feel like I'm just done. And that kind of sucks. I was having a great time. Maybe we'll get some more content that'll be a little bit harder in the near future. Or that'll, scratch that itch for me. I really hope we do. you know, Chip was talking about some sort of Hexfall revamp he wants to do. I think that'd be fire. I think that there's a lot that can be done with the formula here, especially with, like, R2 Exalteds that'll come out eventually, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm a complaining loser. Tell me your thoughts, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say beyond that. This is already too long of a video, but I hope you enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you next time. So, goodbye.